I want to share with you the hardest thing about homeschooling for the past 13 years. And it's not going to be what you think. A lot of people think it's a lack of social activities. That's actually not true. We do a lot of social activities. There's literally so many sports and games and things that you can be involved in. That's not an obstacle. The hardest thing has not been choosing a curriculum, because there's so many resources. Your entire classes on YouTube, there's entire apps, there's entire Outschool, there's entire digital virtual stuff. No, the hardest thing has not been managing the time, because you actually have more time to do the things that you love to do. You can sleep in, your kids can stay up. I have a night owl for a teenager that loves doing work at 10 p.m. That has not been the hardest thing either. The hardest two things has been retraining my teacher brain. I'm a former teacher with a master's degree. Retraining my teacher brain to know like what is considered successful, what is considered milestones that my kids need to be at XYZ in order for me to feel like not a failure. Retraining my brain over the last decade. And also another thing that I don't think a lot of people factor in when they try to homeschool is the amount of time that you have to be with your kids. Now, I know it sounds silly, like, oh, I could be with my kids 14 hours a day, no problem. For a lot of people that need mental breaks, this is a factor. So when my kids get up at 7 a.m. and they don't go to bed until 11 p.m. sometimes, like I just said, my teenager is up reading books and, wanting to, do things and play her instruments or whatever. And so having to find that rhythm of alone time, creative space as a mom, personal space as a mom, finding my own friends as a mom, having my own self back as a mom has been a challenge that I think a lot of people don't factor in. And so if you have to be away from your kid, homeschooling might not be for you, or you need to really make sure that it is something that you can fit in with your life. Maybe having mom time like scheduled into your schedule, having people come over to the house to watch your kids so that you can get a mental break. I have gone to the gym and put my kids in childcare for years. That has been a lifesaver mentally for me, just to be on a treadmill and have my kids be watched during the daytime. And now, this is before I had a teenager in the home that could babysit. Now I'm just like, okay, bye, Starbucks, bye. Because she CPR trained and all this. But it took 13 years to work up to that milestone. So I would take my kids to the YMCA, check them in. I would be on a treadmill for the max amount of time, be able to get my work done on a treadmill, be able to have a mental break, have people babysit my kids very early on to make sure that we were getting date nights, me and my husband. So those two factors, making sure you have mental space to do it, and making sure that you are retraining your brain to know what is successful and what's not successful, and how your kids can be assessed in a healthy way, so that you feel like they're learning and they're getting information. But this is an example I shared with somebody literally this week, that she was trying to see if her kid was right for homeschooling and what they can do. And I said, look, my kids have never been good writers. Never desired to write, never been a creative writer at all, which is ironic because I've written 5 books. I don't know where that gene fell off the track, whatever. But none of my kids have had any desire for creative writing. Okay. So therefore, if, for example, we're learning about, if we're learning about the water cycle, and I would say as a traditional teacher, we're going to write a paragraph about the water cycle. My kids would not, there would be a fight, it'd be nothing. It would not register, it would not be fun for them. But if I say my kids are very much math and engineering mindset, which is their dad, not me at all. I'm too much of an artist, forget it. So my kids would be like, can we build a Lego model of a water cycle and present it to you, and we talk through it, all the names, what's happening, can you tell me what's happening here? And they get to build a Lego set as a water cycle for their assessment. Well, in a public school setting, a traditional setting, I would not be able to necessarily take that as a passing grade or an A or an assessment, not necessarily. I would have to have them follow a rubric that follows this, it looks at the writing and what their grade is and whatever. So in homeschooling, you have a lot more flexibility over how you can even assess your kids. Obviously, you have to follow your state rules. In Virginia, we have a lot of flexibility for day-to-day things. We have no hours logged, no curriculum is required, no subject are required for learning except for basic math, basic reading, comprehension, and that's tested at the end of the year with a variety, like 20 different tests at the end of the year. So you have lots of flexibility over your pace, what you learn, how you learn. And so because of that, I've had to do a lot of trial and error over what my kids enjoy doing. And so, stuff like that, like having audible assessments where they're telling me, they're storytelling, or they're building things, or we're doing, problem solving in real life. And at the end of the year, when we do our California Achievement Test, which is considered a test that is okay in the state of Virginia to do, it is basic knowledge, basic math, basic reading comprehension, and we do the untimed version. So we take lots of time. I do not want to have them do test anxiety and all this, but we take lots of time with it to make sure they really understand. They're talking it through with me. We're going over all the rules. We're going over all the things and really taking the time to slow down. I've never had a problem with them failing it. And that's the paperwork that we submit to the school. So back to my original tagline of this video is like, those are the two things: your mental health, mental energy, and being able to really know what your kids' milestones are in a very healthy way, so that you don't feel like you're a failure. Like, I don't want people to feel like, oh, they're a failure if they can't do X, Y, and Z. Well, what can we do? What can we teach our kids? And what are some tools and resources that we can use on the internet, the greatest invention of all time, to help our kids learn and be successful and just feel confident and have fun learning? Which is why, if you haven't noticed, I have a website called thefunschoolers.com, which is my entire thing. That if I was to go back in time and wave a magic wand, I would make sure that learning is fun. Because when we learn, there's actually scientific evidence of this, that when we learn in a fun way that's of interest to us, we are more likely to retain it and want to teach other people, which is the highest level of learning. And so if it is drudgery, if it is rote memorization, kids won't want to learn it because there's no connection and there's no incentive to really be wanting to really have it stick. And so anytime you can make learning fun, that's the beauty of homeschooling that you can do. And so there you go. If you have any questions on homeschooling in the state of Virginia, I've been doing it for a while. We'd love for you to comment below. And much love, guys. Peace out.